Cher, now 79 years old, is one of the greatest and most enduring icons of global music and pop culture, with a career spanning more than 6 decades. From the massive hits with Sonny and Cher, like I Got You Babe, that took her and Sonny Bono to international fame, to her brilliant solo career with songs like Bang Bang, My Baby Shot Me Down, Gypsies, Tramps and Thieves, Half-Breed, Dark Lady, and If I Could Turn Back Time, that captivated millions of audiences worldwide. She has not only succeeded in music, but also shone on the silver screen with her role in Moonstruck, which earned her the Oscar for Best Actress, alongside countless Grammy Awards, Emmy Awards, Golden Globe Awards, as well as the Billboard Icon Award, Kennedy Center Honors, and Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award, making her the only person in music history to achieve #1 on the Billboard charts in 7 consecutive decades. Cher's performance, style, and fashion have been widely recognized, becoming a cultural icon, a lifestyle symbol, and a source of inspiration for the LGBTQ+ community. Her image on stage, on the red carpet, and on magazine covers reflects a resilience, creativity, and global influence that few can match, making her one of the most respected and celebrated female artists of all time. However, beneath that spotlight lies a life of constant challenges and pain. Cher's childhood was unstable, with her parents divorcing and her mother remarrying multiple times, bringing feelings of loneliness and abandonment. Her marriages to Sonny Bono and Greg Allman fell apart, leaving deep emotional voids and issues of trust. Her son Shaz publicly transitioned, Elijah Blue faced psychological difficulties, and her daughter Ryan battled lupus, placing Cher repeatedly in the midst of worry, fear, and responsibility. Despite all that, she has always risen through willpower, resilience, and determination, using music as her anchor to overcome losses, turning pain into strength, and gradually moving through personal trials to continue contributing to music and inspiring the world, showing a person who is both vulnerable and extraordinary, a living proof of the ability to survive and create despite adversity. Before we dive deeper into Cher's tumultuous and emotional journey, please hit like and leave a heart to show respect for a music icon who still resiliently overcomes every challenge. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so we can explore together the pain, losses, and extraordinary willpower that have shaped a living legend. Cher grew up amid the voids of childhood, where laughter was rare and attention was often interrupted by family upheavals that a child could not fully understand. Her parents divorced when she was very young, and her mother had to remarry multiple times, causing the living environment to change constantly, where every house and every room carried a sense of temporariness and insecurity, with shabby walls, cold winters, and hot summers that never brought stability. In those homes, Cher early learned to feel the absence of love, with loneliness creeping into every seemingly small, peaceful moment. Little Cher sometimes just sat alone, looking out the window, listening to the distant sounds of the world while no one noticed her presence, and realized that this world could be so cold that a child had to learn to survive on her own willpower. Her mother worked extremely hard, her hands cracked from scrubbing floors and washing clothes for others, always trying to provide for the family. But that very lack of emotional warmth deeply etched into Cher's hard images of silent sacrifice and endurance, where love existed not through words, but through quiet gestures and hidden sacrifices that a child rarely understood. Little Cher soon realized that in life, resilience was sometimes the only gift fate bestowed. And from these difficult experiences she learned to stand firm, learned to comfort herself in the loneliest moments, and found peace in music that she discovered from old records, singing along to cassette tapes or quiet singing moments in her bedroom, where she could freely express herself without any watchful or judgmental eyes. Music became her salvation, her breath, the light piercing through the darkness she faced every day, from cold nights without enough food, mornings where sunlight hit the cold floor, to days when the feeling of abandonment crept into every step. Cher sang to keep her heart from breaking, sang to prove that a girl from disadvantaged circumstances could still create sound, create rhythm, and find herself in every note. Each note became the hope that one day she would reach out to the wider world, would find her own voice, would be heard and recognized, and that very hope nourished the resilient willpower she carried throughout her life. She learned to endure initial failures, times when friends mocked her, careless jeers from those she once considered friends, learned to get up after every fall, learned to believe in her own voice and the energy she could create even when no one had seen or appreciated it yet. As she grew up, Cher realized that music was not just a means of survival, but also the way she faced her pains, turning them into strength and continuing to move forward. No matter the harsh circumstances and losses in life, she learned to turn every difficulty, every moment of loneliness and deprivation into the fire that drove her career, with every step on stage later carrying the experience from that unstable childhood, every song and every lyric serving as proof of the ability to stand firm against adversity and find light in the darkness. That resilient spirit was formed from those early difficult days, and thanks to music, Cher not only survived but also began to dream of a future where she could stand on stage, see the lights shining on the audience, and know that, from the initial wounds and deprivations, a music and pop culture icon would be born strong, resilient, and never defeated. Cher continued into her young years with a burning passion for music, carrying the loneliness and insecurity from her childhood. She began singing at the nearby church, where the old wooden walls became her first stage, a place where she could raise her voice without fear of judgment, where music became a spiritual anchor, helping her feel that she still existed and still had value in a changing world. From the church, she expanded to small recording studios, singing in quiet bars with sparse audiences, sometimes just a few people passing by. But Cher learned that every note and every lyric could become a tool for survival, a way to maintain hope and preserve her own identity. Those early days were not easy. She faced doubts about her ability, judgment from local youth and audiences, and social pressure along with inexperience in front of crowds made every step on stage a challenge. But Cher did not give up. She knew that to reach the world, every performance and every practice was an opportunity to prove her talent and passion. In one performance at a studio in Los Angeles, Cher met Sonny Bono, a young songwriter and producer with determined eyes, who quickly recognized her potential and unique personality. The two decided to form a duo, Sonny and Cher, combining Cher's distinctive style and unique voice with Sonny's songwriting and production skills. Their first hit, I Got You Babe, quickly rose on the charts, taking both of them from small studios and quiet bars to the international stage lights. This success not only brought money and fame, but also opened a new door for Cher, where music could become a powerful voice, where she began to feel the weight and responsibility of a future music icon. However, success came alongside new challenges. Becoming famous quickly forced Cher to face doubts from colleagues, public pressure, and strict expectations from audiences. She had to learn to stand strong on stage, to perform not only with her voice but also with gestures, eye contact, and ways to interact with the audience, turning music into a tool to convey emotions and create connections with people. Every performance was a life lesson, where Cher had to control anxiety, self-doubt, and inner insecurities, learning to transform every pressure into creative energy, gradually honing the performing spirit that later became her trademark. Those early days mixed hardship with opportunity, and every challenge brought a valuable lesson. Cher learned to manage performance intensity, fatigue, and professional pressure while still staying true to herself and nurturing her passion for music. Audiences following her story clearly see a journey that began with difficulties, but also opened doors of opportunity, where, from shabby rooms and sparsely attended bars, a young female artist gradually affirmed her voice, personality, and iron will to become a global music icon. Cher learned that music was not just entertainment or a job. For her, it was a survival tool, a place to turn loneliness, fear, and emotional deprivation into creative energy, a way to assert herself before the world. Those first steps with Sonny Bono shaped Cher's style and inner strength, transforming her from a girl abandoned in childhood into an icon not only of music, but also of resilience and the ability to overcome adversity. Every note, every lyric, every step on stage carried the story of the hardships endured, the relentless efforts, and the belief that from difficulties one could still create light, marking the beginning of the long journey that Cher would continue in her life and brilliant yet challenging career. Cher stepped into her adult years, full of pressure, with the dual role of a rising artist and a young wife in her marriage to Sonny Bono, where the spotlight of fame was not as comfortable as it appeared on magazine pages or stages. The performances in front of thousands of audiences, the interviews, the stage lights, all brought echoes and fame, but at the same time dragged along silent stresses that only Cher truly understood. Managing the marital relationship while constantly traveling, preparing for tours, rehearsing, and recording was a harsh challenge, where she often felt lonely even while standing in the middle of crowds of fans. The pressure of fame did not just pile up during performance hours or contracts, but also crept into every private minute, making Cher repeatedly question whether she could keep her true self or had to trade her personal life to maintain her public image. In this context, Cher was still determined to assert herself, beginning her solo career with songs like Bang Bang, My Baby Shot Me Down, and Gypsies, Tramps and Thieves, tracks that not only brought commercial success, but also reflected her independent, strong, and somewhat rebellious personality. Each song was a declaration of her ability to stand on her own 2 feet, of turning personal experiences, painful emotions, or disappointments into music that could touch the hearts of millions of audiences. Alongside the explosion on stage, Cher still had to face long, lonely days in her own home, quiet arguments with Sonny Bono, and emotional voids that fame and work pressure could not fill. Audiences saw a powerful icon, an outstanding vocalist, but few knew that Cher had to fight every day to balance her brilliant career and her crumbling marriage. The divorce in 1975 did not come as a sudden shock, but as the inevitable result of years of tension, in which differences in personality, life goals, and the growing pressure of fame increasingly widened the gap between the two. Cher felt a profound loneliness as she had to protect herself, face public opinion, and worry about her own future in the harsh entertainment industry. At this time, music became the place to pour out her pain, a way out for her to continue maintaining her presence on stage, to keep her job, and to find her own voice. The solo songs were not just music, but confessions, stories of loneliness and disappointment, yet also proof of her will to survive and her desire to assert herself. The parallel image between success on stage and personal tragedy created a strong contrast. Cher appeared in dazzling outfits with a powerful voice and cheering audiences, but deep inside she still carried sadness, long empty nights when Sonny was no longer by her side, when personal joy and freedom had to be sacrificed to maintain her career. Cher learned that fame did not always bring happiness. It came with heavy responsibilities, difficult decisions, and sometimes unspeakable lonely pain. In this process, Cher also began to train her inner strength, learning to use music as a weapon to survive, to face the pressure of fame, to turn personal experiences into artistic power, and to maintain a career spanning decades. She learned to stand firm before the public eye, before media gossip, and before the emotional losses left by the broken marriage. Every recording session, every stage performance was proof of her resilient will, of her ability to turn pain into music, and showed that Cher was not only a pop icon, but also a person who had learned to survive through every challenge, turning personal tragedy into endless inspiration, so that audiences not only heard the music, but also felt an extraordinary journey of life and struggle behind the bright stage lights. Cher continued into the peak period of her solo career, with a burning desire not only to prove herself, but also to overcome all the pain and instability she had experienced in life. With each song and each recording containing a part of the memory of a deprived childhood, a part of marital tragedy and the desire to create light in the darkness. Major hits like Half-Breed, Dark Lady, and If I Could Turn Back Time not only made her one of the most successful female artists of the 1970s and 1980s, but also affirmed an independent, strong, and somewhat rebellious musical identity that no one could diminish. Each time those melodies played, millions of fans felt joy. But few knew that behind those stage lights was a Cher facing the pressure of fame, relentless media scrutiny, public judgment, and physical and mental exhaustion that her youth had not prepared her for. This pressure was not limited to maintaining a perfect image in front of the public, but also included deep worries about her children, about broken relationships, about loneliness, and the feeling that every success came with an extremely high price. At the same time, Cher entered the film world with her role in Moonstruck, a movie where her acting touched the deep emotions of audiences and helped her win the Oscar for Best Actress, opening a new chapter in her artistic career, where she proved that her talent was not limited to music but also extended to the silver screen. That success brought pride, but alongside it was constant tension. Cher had to continuously balance dense tour schedules, recording timetables, film shoots, media interviews, and family life, a physical and mental challenge that sometimes left her feeling exhausted. Long nights on the road, on stage, and in the studio became a continuous cycle where she sang to survive, to maintain her image, and to inspire millions of fans around the world. Audiences saw a radiant Cher on stage, in dazzling outfits, with a powerful voice and confident demeanor. But few realized that every smile and every backstage story hid silent pains and lonely moments when she returned to the hotel after shows. When the stage lights went out and everything fell silent, the soaring solo career meant Cher had to push beyond her own limits, endure unseen fatigue and pressure, learn to turn stress into performance energy, and turn pain into emotion to touch audiences' hearts. International tours and successive successful solo albums sometimes took Cher to unfamiliar, lonely, and tiring places, but she still sang and performed with unshakable passion and determination. Each note became proof of her resilience and will to survive, showing that success did not come easily, that to become an icon, Cher had to pay with her health, with personal losses, and with those lonely years that only music could comfort. Audiences witnessed the strange coexistence of brilliant spotlight and silent pain, between roaring applause and long nights with no one beside her, where Cher remained steadfast in her dream and mission. Throughout this period, Cher learned to comfort herself, create motivation, and maintain faith in herself, turning the stage and music into a place where she both shone and healed her personal pain. Learning to transform the pressure of fame, public opinion, loneliness, and loss into creative energy. She understood that every moment of success, every award, every step on stage was not only proof of talent, but also proof of extraordinary willpower and survival in the face of every challenge. A powerful message that Cher sent to audiences that no matter how harsh life may be, pain and tragedy can be turned into strength and light, and each note, each performance, is living proof of the journey through adversity that is both tragic and brilliant. For a global music and pop culture icon, Cher stepped into the following years of her life with brilliant spotlight on stage, but in her heart was a chain of silent worries and losses that few outside the family could truly understand. Her eldest son, Chaz Bono, decided to transition, publicly changing his identity and embarking on a challenging journey of his own. For Cher, it was pride mixed with endless anxiety, because public opinion and the media at that time were not easy to accept. With gossip, judgment, or scrutiny of Chaz's every step placing Cher under enormous mental pressure to protect her child with all her strength, intelligence, and love. Every interview, every news story about Chaz was a tense heartbeat, and Cher learned to control her emotions, to face the media, while still keeping her spirit strong for her child, and at the same time not letting fear or judgment overshadow herself or her own career. At the same time, her second son, Elijah Blue Allman, brought other challenges. Elijah faced many psychological difficulties, at times with a complicated lifestyle, and his relationships and career became chaotic and unstable. Cher had to watch her son from afar, being both a mother and a companion, a spiritual anchor without being able to intervene too deeply in every decision, while still maintaining her music career that demanded constant creativity and performance. Long nights on tour, in the studio, or on stage, she still quietly worried about her son. Every message and every call became a bridge for Cher to stay in touch and remind Elijah that she was always there. Cher's inner struggle became heavy, between work, lights, fame, and the pain of a mother. She had to tell herself that her strength and resilience were the only anchor for her children to move forward. Cher learned to maintain her personal routine and discipline while protecting her children. She had to arrange every schedule, every performance, every recording trip to both complete her work and have time to be with her children when needed. Each song and each tour was a challenge not only physically but also mentally, because she always carried worries about her children and an unrelenting sense of responsibility. These pressures sometimes left her exhausted to the point of burnout, but Cher never let them stop her progress. Instead, she turned pain and stress into creative energy, turning music into a place of release, where she fulfilled her role as an artist, conveyed hidden emotions, and served as a bridge to her children. Audiences saw Cher on stage with a confident demeanor, powerful voice, sharp eyes, and splendor in every performance outfit, but few realized that each note and each song hid the story of pain, anxiety, and deep love of a mother. Cher knew that for her children to feel safe and supported, she had to overcome her own fears, learning to accept that the outside world could be harsh, but within the family's embrace there was still protection and unconditional love. These losses and upheavals, though they did not make her collapse, deeply etched into Cher a resilient spirit and an extraordinary will to survive. Each time facing media pressure, each personal challenge, Cher found strength in music, in the love for her children, and in the ability to turn pain into artistic achievement, making her not only a global pop icon but also a model of endurance, courage, and unbreakable maternal love. Audiences saw a Cher who was both resilient and sensitive, radiant on stage yet quietly fighting for her loved ones. And it was these family tragedies that highlighted her extraordinary willpower, endurance, and never-ending capacity for love. Cher stepped into the turbulent years of her romantic life, when her second marriage to Greg Allman began, a relationship that the media and fans followed closely, where the spotlight of fame and the pressure of celebrity constantly weighed heavily on her heart. The years with Greg Allman, though brief, contained every range of emotions, love, happiness, but also full of disagreements and conflicts. The public constantly scrutinized every gesture and every word of theirs, turning every personal moment into widespread gossip, forcing Cher to learn how to stay calm and protect herself, as well as her reputation, while at the same time trying to maintain sincerity in her feelings. Life was dominated by media attention, paparazzi following every step, and the pressure to maintain a perfect image on stage, making Cher often feel lonely even when beside the person she loved. After the divorce from Greg Allman, Cher did not stop at the pain, but stepped into other famous relationships, including romances with Tom Cruise, Val Kilmer, and many other prominent figures in the entertainment industry. Each relationship coming with its own challenges, with curiosity, judgment, and scrutiny from the media and the public. Cher had to learn to distinguish between real love and the superficial curiosity of public opinion, learning to maintain privacy in a world that always watched her every moment. These relationships sometimes brought joy, but many times also led her to face disappointment, suffering, and prolonged loneliness, where the spotlight of the stage and fame could not soothe the inner wounds. Alongside the emotional challenges, Cher still had to maintain her career at its peak with tours, solo albums, television appearances, and films. She had to balance her artistic passion, family responsibilities, and personal life, a task that was not simple at all. Taking care of her children, paying attention to their health and emotions, while maintaining a dense schedule, made Cher learn to manage time, learn to set boundaries, learn to say no when needed, and find the balance between what the public saw and her real life. Through these years, Cher developed herself more strongly. She learned to protect herself, know when to keep distance from people and situations that caused pressure, and when to open her heart to nurture love and genuine connection. Every relationship, whether successful or failed, became a valuable lesson, helping Cher train her steadfastness, understand her own worth, and identify what was truly important in life. She realized that fame and spotlight could not replace genuine love, trust, and security in the family, and these experiences shaped a stronger, more independent, and self-reliant Cher, a woman who knew how to stand firm in every storm, while maintaining a peak career and protecting the deepest values in her life. Audiences saw a Cher who was both radiant on stage and quietly struggling behind the lights, an image both strong and vulnerable, making her journey feel close and touching. Every step, every decision in her personal life was carefully considered by her, and her ability to overcome pressure, maintain her career, and protect her family proved an extraordinary resilient spirit. The turbulent romantic years not only made Cher stronger, but also helped her mature mentally, knowing how to cherish real love and understand that the strength of an artist lies not only in her voice or achievements, but also in the ability to live and love in a world that constantly challenges herself. The relationships, whether they ended or continued, were all the marks that created the Cher of today, a female artist who had gone through adversity, a mother protecting her children, a woman who knew self-respect and self-love, and most importantly, a music icon who was not only radiant on stage, but also resilient and profound in real life. Audiences noticed the parallel between the spotlight and the pain, and it was these emotional challenges that created an extraordinary Cher, both fragile and strong, a woman who overcame every storm to shine and continue inspiring the whole world. Cher stepped into the following decades of her career with an extraordinary spirit that few artists could match. When her age had passed the milestone of 60 and the dense tours along with continuous album production demanded physical strength and mental resilience more than ever, every trip, every performance night, every time stepping onto the stage was a challenge, where her body had to endure the aches and fatigue from old age, the physical pressures of constant travel, and the demands for perfection from audiences and the public. But Cher never let those difficulties stop her steps. She learned to regulate her performance rhythm, prepare her health before each show, maintain an appropriate training regimen, and turn every performance into proof of her professional spirit and extraordinary endurance. On stage, audiences saw a radiant Cher with a voice that still echoed powerfully and a confident demeanor. But behind the lights and cheers was a series of silent efforts, long nights of practice, rare hours of rest, and non-stop self-care to maintain her health and performance quality. The years of old age did not diminish her passion. On the contrary, it made Cher value every performance moment even more, cherish the audience more, and treasure the opportunity to contribute. She knew that this endurance was not only a physical challenge, but also a lesson in willpower and steadfastness, about how music must continue to live vibrantly even as age and time kept moving forward. The international tours in the 2000s, from Europe to America, forced Cher to face a dense schedule, constant travel, and pressure to maintain high form. Each time stepping onto the stage, she was not only singing for the audience, but also singing to affirm herself to herself, to prove that age could not dim the flame of passion and love for music inside her. Audiences recognized her extraordinary endurance, her dedication to music, and her determination not to let any factor stop her from contributing. Alongside the professional challenges, Cher still had to connect this experience with the personal tragedies she had gone through. She remembered the family losses, the pain when her sons Chaz and Elijah faced challenges, the worries about her daughter Ryan's health and happiness, and the pressure of public opinion when balancing personal life and work. Her later career was not only a physical challenge, but also a stage for her to confront deep pains, to turn personal experiences into genuine emotions that infused every note and performance style. Cher learned to turn pain and fatigue into performance strength, knew how to use music as a means to release pressure while still maintaining professionalism and passion for the audience. She adjusted her schedule, learned to take care of herself, and sought quiet moments to recover, realizing that perseverance and endurance were the keys to continuing to stand on stage. Audiences, even though they only saw the radiant image on stage, were actually witnessing an extraordinary journey. An artist who had gone through decades, every loss, every loneliness, every harsh pressure of fame and media, yet still resiliently stepped up to every note, still kept the original flame of passion and connection with music and people. Cher was not only an icon of music and culture, but also living proof of the power of willpower, extraordinary ability to endure, and unwavering belief in the value of art, where the spotlight of the stage went hand in hand with silent pains, creating a journey that was both tragic and magnificent, inspiring every generation of audiences. Cher, after decades full of upheavals and pain in her personal life, gradually found a new source of comfort in her love with Alexander Edwards, a person who entered her life like a gentle light, not completely erasing the memories of previous losses, but enough to bring peace and hope. This romance was different from the relationship she had experienced before, without the pressure of fame or constant media scrutiny, but rather empathy, understanding, and quiet support that Cher had always longed for. Alexander Edwards was not only a partner, but also an anchor for Cher to learn how to trust, to open up, and to share long-held pains, helping her find balance between the enormous workload of her artistic career and family life that needed care and nurturing. In this relationship, Cher and Alexander welcomed the arrival of their daughter Ryan, a new light in her life, a symbol of hope and joy after the painful losses she had experienced with her sons Chaz and Elijah Blue. Ryan became the center of the family, the reason for Cher to adjust every schedule, balance her career and childcare, learning to dedicate time to simple but precious things like reading books with her child, playing, and sharing everyday happy moments. Cher understood that this was an opportunity to start over, to build a warm home where her children felt safe and unconditionally loved, and where she could once again enjoy the role of a mother with peace in her soul. Ryan, with her sensitivity, strong spirit, and radiant smile, became a source of positive energy, lighting up every day of Cher's life, helping her somewhat forget the pressures and worries from the previous decades. Every time Ryan smiled, Cher felt pure happiness, joy that could not be measured by career or success, a feeling she had longed for after years of struggle, loss, and loneliness. Ryan was not only a daughter, but also living proof of resilience, of the belief that from the deepest wounds light and love could still emerge. During this time, Cher learned to establish balance between her career, family, and health, a lesson that age and experiences had taught her. She adjusted her tours, arranged recording sessions, and paid attention to rest, nutrition, and physical fitness, so she could maintain her stage performance while having enough health and time for her family. Cher knew she could not live only for music or stage lights. She needed to live for her loved ones, so her children could feel full maternal love. And so she herself still had enough energy to create and contribute. Audiences witnessed a Cher who was not only a radiant pop culture icon on stage, but also a devoted mother, a woman who knew how to cherish simple happiness and find joy in peaceful moments with her family. Ryan became the bridge between a painful past and a hopeful present, helping Cher heal wounds from old relationships, broken marriages, and the crises with her sons. She learned to give love without being haunted by previous losses, learned to enjoy simple but precious moments, and learned to let music become a bridge not only with audiences, but also with her own family. In the home that Cher and Alexander shared with Ryan, every passing day was a delicate combination of music, family, and time for health care. Cher often spent mornings practicing her voice and preparing for performances, but always interspersed with moments of reading stories, playing with Ryan, and sharing stories about life and music. These moments not only helped Cher maintain a strong spirit, but also created an environment full of love and support for her daughter, helping Ryan feel maternal love, safety, and encouragement to grow up in an imperfect but hopeful world. These months and years showed another side of Cher, an artist rich in experience, who understood the value of music, fame, and time, but at the same time a profound mother and partner who knew how to live fully in every moment. Family became the motivation for Cher to continue walking on her music path, to keep her spirit and willpower strong, and at the same time a place to heal losses, where she could find peace, and where the light from Ryan illuminated every corner of her life, bringing joy, warmth, and hope that despite past tragedies, life could still be beautiful and worth living. Those seemingly peaceful months and years with Cher's new family were suddenly overshadowed by a deeply painful event when her daughter Ryan, her new joy and light, was diagnosed with lupus, an autoimmune disease in which the body attacks itself, seriously threatening the health of a young girl. This bad news hit like an unexpected storm on the home that Cher and Alexander Edwards had built, breaking the happy rhythm of life and pulling Cher back to the feelings of anxiety, helplessness, and fear she had experienced when facing previous personal challenges. Ryan had to be hospitalized multiple times, enduring long, painful nights, injections, medications, and fevers, leaving Cher many times on the brink of mental and physical exhaustion. But maternal love and faith in her daughter's vitality kept her from giving up even once. Cher devoted every minute and every moment to caring for Ryan, learning to accompany her through physical and psychological pain. Being both a mother and a solid spiritual anchor, she stayed up nights by the hospital bed, listening to her daughter's heartbeat, comforting her when pain tormented her, and whispering that no matter how difficult, they would overcome it together. Every day, Cher had to balance caring for her child, maintaining her own spirit, and keeping up her music career that continued to demand tours, recordings, and television appearances. Audiences saw Cher radiant on stage, but few knew that behind the smile, she carried worry, fatigue, and long nights struggling with the recurring pain that lupus brought to Ryan. The pain Ryan had to endure became a new challenge, forcing Cher to learn to sacrifice all personal needs to put her child first, to learn patience, to control emotions, and to use her own music, faith, and willpower to pass on the strength to live to her daughter. Cher taught Ryan to smile on painful days, to see light in dark moments together, and use all her past experiences to help her understand that although life is full of challenges, inner strength and family love could still carry them through. The emotional climax came when lupus became severe, causing Ryan to endure long hospital stays, machines monitoring her heartbeat, injections, tormenting fevers, and Cher had to witness her daughter in pain without being able to do more than comfort and accompany her. Every sleepless night, Cher recalled the pain from previous personal crises, broken relationships, the difficulties her sons had faced, and this time the pain repeated but doubled as she faced her precious daughter. Audiences saw a Cher who was both strong and vulnerable, an extraordinary mother who knew how to sacrifice, how to endure, and how to stand firm even when pressure piled up and fear constantly surrounded her. In those long days, music became the place where Cher and Ryan found comfort. Cher sang softly to her daughter, gentle melodies, told stories through rhythm and lyrics, turning the hospital room into a place full of hope and faith. Ryan, though weak, still smiled, listened, and even sang along to the lines, making Cher see that strength and maternal love were not only physical protection, but also passing on spiritual vitality to help her fight the illness. This event became living proof of extraordinary maternal love and Cher's resilient willpower. She did not let fear or work pressure overshadow her love for her child, always maintaining balance between caring for Ryan and keeping her career alive. So music remained vibrant, the stage remained bright, but in every note there was a message from a mother that no matter how harsh life may be, one can still stand firm, still find hope, and still use love and determination to overcome every challenge. Audiences felt the emotional depth in every step, every lyric, every look Cher gave to Ryan, and realized that the spotlight on stage was only a small part compared to what she faced in real life. Cher was not only a pop music goddess, but also living proof of extraordinary endurance, unbreakable maternal love, and the ability to turn pain into strength, where recurring pain did not make her collapse, but instead made her stronger, more steadfast, and inspired the whole world about the will to live and boundless love. After the terrifying events with her daughter Ryan's health, Cher gradually found a new rhythm in life, learning to balance between career, family, and the continuous challenges that fate presented, turning losses and pain into inner strength and extraordinary will to survive. She realized that to maintain herself and continue being a source of inspiration for her children, for audiences, and for fans around the world, she had to learn to heal herself, learn to find joy even in days full of anxiety, learn to let music be not only a career but also medicine for healing. In the early days after Ryan's storm, Cher devoted time to caring for her child, staying by Ryan in her weak moments, but at the same time arranged tours, studio sessions, interviews, and music projects, gradually adjusting her life rhythm to ensure her career was not interrupted, and to prove that no matter how great the pain, she could still stand firm on stage. In that process, Cher also expanded her charitable and community activities, using her voice and influence to inspire those facing challenges. She participated in programs to raise awareness about lupus, supported the LGBTQ+ community, and shared her own experiences and survival stories to encourage others not to give up in the face of difficulties. Through these actions, Cher was not only an artist but also a model of strength, courage, and hope, where music, maternal love, and resilience blended to create a powerful message about the ability to survive and rise above adversity. Audiences saw Cher on stage with bright lights, but those who closely followed her personal journey realized that her recovery was intertwined with tragedy, where every smile, every song, every sharing was nourished from days and months of silent struggle with fear, loss, and non-stop pressure. Cher learned to turn music into a place to release emotions, where she both lived with lingering pains and passed on vitality and inspiration to audiences. Each time stepping onto the stage, she carried her own story about an unstable childhood, about broken relationships, about her children and health challenges, and turned it all into creative energy that audiences could feel and empathize with. These years were also when Cher learned to cherish every peaceful moment, every minute with her daughter Ryan, every smile, every hug, and knew that strength is not only measured by the number of awards or album sales, but also by the ability to stand firm after life's storms, by the ability to love and care for family, and by the way she inspired the next generation through music and action. Cher became an icon of perseverance, courage, and hope, where pain, Loneliness and loss did not make her collapse, but instead fueled her strength to stand firm and shine. Audiences witnessed a Cher completely different from the image on magazine covers or stage lights. A resilient woman who had learned to turn pain into strength. An artist who recovered from personal tragedies while maintaining nonstop passion for music and nurturing her family with love and care. In every performance, in every shared story, Cher reminded people that life is never easy, but with willpower, love, and faith, humans can overcome every challenge, heal wounds, and continue to shine. Through these experiences, Cher became living proof of extraordinary resilience. From loss, pain, pressure of fame, health in old age, to family difficulties, all were transformed by her into creative energy, into music and inspiring action. Audiences clearly saw that recovery is not the end of tragedy, but the process of turning tragedy into strength. Learning to stand firm, learning to love, and learning to shine despite every challenge. And that is the powerful message Cher sent to the whole world, that a true icon does not only shine on stage, but also in the very pain and inner strength that shaped that person. Cher, after years full of challenges, not only affirmed her position on stage, but also left a legacy and timeless influence, becoming an icon not only of music but also of global pop culture. She is one of the rare artists who achieved remarkable feats, Grammy Awards for solo albums and songs, the Oscar for Best Actress for her role in Moonstruck, multiple Emmy Awards from her own television show, and the Billboard Icon Award, along with countless other awards honoring her talent and long-term contribution to the arts. Each award, each achievement, was not only proof of her outstanding professional ability, but also a symbol of perseverance, relentless effort, and the ability to stand firm and shine amid personal challenges and decades-long public pressure. Not stopping at awards, Cher also became a fashion icon, with an independent, distinctive, and bold style that many generations of singers, artists, and fans have learned from and followed. From dazzling stage outfits, bold red carpet looks, to the way she combined clothing and everyday attitude, Cher not only created trends but also conveyed messages of freedom, independence, and personal identity. That style became a symbol of pop culture, where art, creativity, and personal freedom blended, and left a deep mark on fashion, music, and everyday life around the world. Cher's influence extended far beyond the stage and red carpet. She became a source of inspiration for the LGBTQ+ community, for those facing challenges in asserting themselves, and for anyone who had to struggle to live true to who they are. Stories of her unstable childhood, the pain in her marriages, the losses of her children, and health crises, when told through music and media, became a source of life motivation for many people, helping them see that despite adversity, humans can still stand firm, find light, and inspire those around them. Audiences saw Cher not only as a singer, an actress, or an entertainment star, but also as a resilient, creative, and inspiring icon, a role model of inner strength, endurance, and the spirit to overcome every challenge. Her tours, solo albums, film roles, and charitable activities, music education, or raising awareness about illnesses all contributed to the image of a well-rounded artist who both shone brightly and carried responsibility with far-reaching influence. Cher's legacy is not only measured by the number of awards or album sales, but also shown in the way she inspires and supports the next generation by guiding, setting an example, and creating opportunities for young talents to continue pursuing music, art, and creative freedom. That influence also extended into popular culture. The way Cher combined music, style, and personal messages became a symbol of resilience, daring to live true to oneself, and constantly innovating to adapt to the times. Audiences realize that Cher is an icon not only because of her voice or stage achievements, but also because of her story of endurance, overcoming adversity, and turning personal tragedy into creative energy. Each time stepping onto the stage, Cher carried her long personal journey from an unstable childhood, fractured relationships, the pain of losing children, to the pressure of fame and health challenges in old age, and turned it all into strength to shine and inspire. Cher's contributions and influence were also shown through her charitable activities, raising social awareness and supporting communities, especially programs for music education and projects supporting the LGBTQ+ community. Through these, she proved that a great icon exists not only on stage, but also in the way of living, loving, and inspiring others. Audiences saw a Cher who was both an artist, a resilient role model, and a source of life inspiration, a complete icon shaped by music, style, and endurance. At the age of 79, Cher still stands there with a determined gaze, a resounding voice, and a confident demeanor. But behind the stage lights is a journey through pain, loss, pressure, and non-stop challenges that turned her into a living icon of resilience, strength, and hope. Audiences can see that Cher's legacy is not only her music or awards, but also her ability to turn tragedy into inspiration, pain into strength, and affirm her own value through every note, every action, and every life story. Although Cher's career was brilliant and her influence spread globally, behind the stage lights and warm applause were deep traces of loss, suffering, and unseen challenges. Her broken marriages, first with Sonny Bono and later with Greg Allman, left voids in Cher's heart that fame or awards could not fill. Each relationship taught her about loneliness, about having to stand on her own and protect herself, while also leaving valuable lessons about love, trust, and patience. The non-stop public scrutiny, the eyes of the public, and the gossip not only about her style and music, but also about her personal life, placed her under constant mental pressure, where fame sometimes became a heavier burden than the joy it brought. The challenges with her children, Chaz Bono publicly transitioning, Elijah Blue facing psychological difficulties, Ryan battling lupus, were all pains that Cher had to face every day, impossible to escape and impossible to solve with fame or money. Each event made Cher experience helplessness, fear, and sometimes despair, but at the same time formed in her an extraordinary inner strength, the resilience to stand firm, to continue caring for her children, to accompany them through the most difficult moments, and to keep contributing music to the world. These losses did not make her collapse. On the contrary, they became motivation for Cher to turn pain into art, personal experiences into songs, performance style, and messages for millions of fans. Audiences could see the spotlight, the dazzling outfits, the packed stages, but few knew that every note, every lyric, every smile on stage carried the story of long, stressful nights. Moments of despair when Cher faced family pain, loneliness, and invisible pressures from public opinion. Cher learned to use music to release pain, to inspire, and to keep herself steady in a constantly changing and challenging world. Personal events also taught her how to recognize the true value of simple moments. Mornings with her daughter Ryan, small laughs in the living room, silent but loving moments. Cher learned to transform tragedy into creativity, turn pain into emotion, to sing, to act, to convey the message that no matter how harsh life may be, there is still a way to stand firm, still a way to find light in the darkness. Audiences, when listening to her songs or following Cher's performances, empathized not only with her musical ability, but also with the journey of overcoming suffering and loss she had gone through. They felt the resilience, willpower, and the ability to turn tragedy into art were the qualities that made an extraordinary Cher, where personal life and the stage blended into a profound and touching whole. The losses still left marks in Cher's life, but at the same time, they created depth and strength for her career, for her music, and for her global influence. Every album, Every tour, every outfit, every lyric reflected a part of the pain and inner victory, making Cher's image real, close, and inspiring. Audiences realized that behind the bright lights was a woman who had learned to stand firm against adversity, to keep love, faith, and passion, and to use all those experiences to become a music icon, a model of resilience, and a vibrant source of inspiration for every generation. Looking back, the losses and tragedies were not only painful marks, but also priceless creative energy, the strength for Cher to continue growing, inspiring, and standing firm through every challenge. Audiences did not only see a great female artist, but also felt an extraordinary human being who had turned pain into music, tragedy into hope, and affirmed that even in the darkest moments, one can still shine and inspire the whole world. At the age of 79, Cher stood before a mirror reflecting her entire life, where stage lights, famous hits, and sparkling awards were only a small part of the larger picture of a turbulent career and personal life. She looked back on the years of unstable childhood, the days struggling with a broken family, emotional deprivation, and lack of care. Then the complicated relationships, broken marriages, and the losses a mother had to endure when her children faced harsh life challenges. Each of those pains, though they once twisted Cher's heart, now became an inseparable part of who she is, the foundation for her willpower, for her strength, and for her ability to continue standing firm before the public and before herself. Looking back on her career, Cher saw the moments when music and stage lights turned pain into creative power. From the early songs with Sonny and Cher like I Got You Babe, to the solo hits that took her name beyond every music boundary like Bang Bang, Half Breed, Dark Lady, and If I Could Turn Back, Time. The years of hard work on tours, in recording studios, and on television programs not only demanded artistic ability, but also tested Cher's physical strength, mental strength, and perseverance. She told herself that stage lights could cover loneliness, but could not erase memories and responsibilities in family life. Therefore, every time stepping onto the stage was proof of her ability to overcome adversity and keep her identity, where personal tragedy and professional success blended, creating strength and inspiration for audiences. In Cher's eyes, the age of 79 was not just a number, but proof of a journey mixing tragedy with ups and downs, losses in marriage, the challenges of her sons Chaz and Elijah Blue, her daughter Ryan's lupus, and the non-stop public pressure placed on her shoulders. All were storms that Cher learned to stand firm against and overcome. Music became a place of healing, a means for her to release emotions and find balance again, turning losses and pain into an endless source of creative energy, where every note and every lyric served as proof of endurance and resilient willpower. Audiences following Cher at this time not only saw a radiant icon on stage, but also felt the depth of her soul and life story. A woman who had gone through tragedy, endured loneliness, loss, and the pressure of fame, yet still shone, still inspired, and still maintained a peak career. These experiences made every song, every tour, every red carpet appearance more meaningful. Not only entertainment, but also a story of courage, of recovery, and of the survival of an extraordinary person. Cher also saw in the eyes of audiences the empathy, where fans not only admired her talent, but also felt the pain, sacrifice, and determination that helped her overcome every storm. Audiences understood that the spotlight, awards, and achievements, no matter how sparkling and brilliant, were only the surface of a life that had gone through countless challenges and losses. From a difficult childhood, complicated relationships, losses with her children, to work pressure and fame, Cher had learned to stand firm, learned to turn pain into strength, and music into a bridge to the world. The image of Cher at the age of 79 is the blend of tragedy and light, where strength, resilience, and willpower to live mixed with deep losses and pain. She was no longer a naive young girl standing on small stages, but a living legend who had turned every event, every pain, and every challenge into music, into an icon, and into inspiration for millions. Audiences could feel the sorrow mixed with honor and hope, where every resounding note reminded them that no matter how harsh life may be, strength, perseverance, and love can still carry people through every adversity and shine despite every challenge. The age of 79 for Cher was not an end, but a time to look back, to cherish, and to inspire. The personal tragedies, failures, and losses, when viewed from this perspective, became proof of extraordinary willpower and endurance, showing that stage light, music, and family love are unchanging values that age and time cannot fade. Cher is now a living icon of resilience, of hope, and of the ability to stand firm before every storm of life. And that is exactly what makes her a figure not only admired for her talent, but also honored for her inner strength and timeless influence. Cher, when the final lights of the age of 79 shine on the face that has gone through decades of struggle and creativity, people realize that she is not only a female singer, a pop icon, but also a living legend, an indomitable goddess of music and culture. Cher is proof of a life that has faced every kind of challenge, from an unstable childhood, turbulent marriage years, to the pain of losing children, pressures from public opinion and fame, but none of it could defeat her willpower. Every note, every song, every performance is proof of strength, resilient spirit, and endless creativity, where music becomes the bridge between pain and hope, between a challenging personal life and the brilliant spotlight on stage. Cher's legacy goes far beyond awards and achievements. Grammy, Oscar, Emmy, Billboard Icon Award are only a small part of the story of endurance, resilience, and love for music that she has passed on to the next generation. She is not only a music icon, but also a cultural leader, a fashion symbol with bold, independent, and highly personal style that serves as inspiration for millions of fans, especially the LGBTQ+ community and anyone struggling to find themselves in a world full of prejudice and difficulties. Every outfit, every look, every performance style conveys a message of freedom, of living true to oneself, and of the ability to turn suffering into strength, to shine even when outer life is not perfect. But what is most special in Cher's legacy is her maternal love and dedication to family. Through the crises of Chaz, Elijah Blue, and Ryan, audiences see a Cher who is not only strong on stage, but also extraordinary in her love for her children, a mother ready to sacrifice, endure, and accompany them through the harshest challenges. It is precisely this resilience in her personal life that makes her music authentic and full of emotion, helping audiences empathize and find comfort in her songs. In every story told, and in her entire journey, the lesson Cher leaves for the world is the ability to stand firm against adversity, inner endurance, and deep love that create an eternal legacy. It is not just talent, fame, or wealth, but qualities like resilient willpower, loving heart, and the ability to turn pain into strength that truly matter. Cher has proven that humans can go through loss, trauma, the pressure of fame, old age, and illness. But if they have willpower and love, they can still shine and inspire the world. At the age of 79, Cher not only looks back on successes in her music or film career, but also sees the image of herself overcoming personal tragedies, holding firm to her values and love for family, and inspiring millions of fans around the world. Audiences clearly see that the spotlight is not the only thing that creates a legend. It is the ability to be resilient, endurance, and immortal love that created Cher, an indomitable pop goddess, a creative icon, and a vibrant source of hope. In every performance, when Cher steps onto the stage, she does not only offer music, she also tells her own story, talks about challenges, losses, love, and pride, so that audiences understand that every success is built from extraordinary effort, Every smile on stage contains silent tears, and every step on the artistic path is proof of the strength to overcome adversity. Cher's legacy is also a message for every generation. Live fully, turn pain into motivation, love and protect loved ones, and be resilient even when life is unfair. She has proven that a life full of tragedy can still become brilliant, and the light of an artist shines not only from the stage, but also from the heart, from the spirit, and from the way they overcome challenges to inspire the whole world. And when the final lights go out, when the audience leaves and the stage becomes silent, Cher still stands there, a 79-year-old woman with a resounding voice, with a resilient soul, with unending love for family and music, leaving the world a great, immortal, and inspiring legacy, proving that endurance, resilience, and love are the values that create a legend that stage lights can never replace. The journey of Cher's life is a long epic, full of tragedy, but also overflowing with strength and inspiration, making anyone who follows it feel both heartbroken and admiring. From an unstable childhood living in temporary homes and loneliness when her parents divorced, to turbulent marriage relationships with Sonny Bono and Greg Allman, and the unavoidable losses with her son Chaz Bono, Elijah Blue, and the health crisis of her daughter Ryan, Cher has gone through pains that most of the public has never witnessed. Her solo songs like Half-Breed or If I Could Turn Back Time are not only commercial successes, but also the voice of a woman who learned to turn suffering into art, with every note ringing out as proof of the ability to overcome adversity. Audiences, when following her tours, the brilliant stages, and Cher's bold fashion style, see not only a music icon, but also feel the long, lonely nights, the sleepless times worrying for her children, and the pressures from media and public opinion that she silently overcame. It is precisely the combination of outer spotlight and interpersonal tragedy that makes Cher both strong and rich in maternal love, and inspiring to live for everyone. The lesson for American audiences from Cher's story is clear. Success and fame cannot replace love, resilience, and care for family, and in life, turning pain into strength, maintaining endurance, and cherishing true values are what create an eternal legacy. Cher proves that despite every tragedy, humans can still stand firm, shine, and inspire those around them. Please hit like and subscribe to the channel so we can continue to accompany Cher's extraordinary journey, exploring the emotional and powerful stories behind the stage lights. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video to dive deeper into the unforgettable challenges and victories of music legends.